When you have your girls, you're never alone. You get together for coffee, maybe to work out, or just to laugh. We created Hey Girl, just for you. Can't wait for you to join us.
Hey everybody, welcome to Hey Girl. I'm your girl, Kim with an E, and this is episode 75. Now, if you're joining us for the first time, I want to let you know that Hey Girl is a safe space where you can share your experiences and be affirmed. Let's face it, life can be complex and sometimes overwhelming. That's why we believe in the power of conversation, because knowing we're not alone is what helps us get through. Well, come on in the room if you're here. Press the like and share button and say hello in the comments and let me know that you are watching today. This is the final installment of our Women in STEM theme, and I have two fantastic guests to introduce you to. But before I do, I want to just remind us of all the guests that we've had thus far. We started off the month with Ashley Leblanc, who is a chemist, and Mercy Goodson was the following week. She's a PhD in physics student about to finish in May. And then, of course, last week we met Zaria Morel, who is a pediatric surgeon. And I have to tell you, this month has just been amazing. It's gone by fast, but I have enjoyed every one of these conversations with these women. I am not a woman in STEM, but I've learned some things. I've been inspired. These women who we've had conversations with are just so impressive. And they each have a different personality and specialty, and they bring something different to the table. And I've just really, really enjoyed these conversations. If you haven't been watching these past few weeks, you need to go back and check them out. Of course, our previous episodes are on this Facebook page. In particular, last week, Zaria Morel blew us all away, right? If you were watching last week, she was amazing. I mean, it's enough that she's a pediatric surgeon, okay? But this woman is doing so many other things on top of that. It just goes to show that God blesses many of us with multiple talents, and we don't have to only do one thing in this life. There are many things that we can do and do well. And I see Sandra Brown joining us. Hello, Sam. Good to see you. Who else is with me? Be sure to say hello in the comments. I was just talking about Zaria Morel. Last week, there was one thing that she said that stayed with me, and I want to bring it back for us to remember. She said, because we were talking about, oh, you just do so much, and how do you do it all? And you're just amazing. You're an overachiever. And she laughed and said that she has figured out to do a few things well. She said there's a lot of things that she doesn't do well, but the things that she's figured out that she does do well, she does them to the best of her ability. And I thought, wow, that's such a message right there, right? Like if you're good at one thing or 10 things, whatever you figure out that you do well, do it well. Do it to the best of your ability. And we can all be overachievers in that regard. So tell me in the comments, what do you do well? Are you a woman in STEM? Tell us what you do. Maybe you're not a woman in STEM. Maybe you have specialty or have talents in some other areas. Tell me what you do well, and then make it a matter of purpose to do that thing, whatever it is, to the best of your ability, because that is what it's all about. So, who else is with me today? I see Tanya. Hey, girl. Hey. Come on, you guys. Don't be so quiet out there. Tell me what you do well. I know what Tanya does well. She's a rocket scientist. She is a woman in STEM. So, and Sandra is an eye doctor. Hey, Alva, I see you. Welcome, welcome. Be sure to like and share today's video also. You know, as I mentioned, we've had some wonderful guests on our show, and prior to this current month where we've been focusing on women in STEM, of course, we've talked to amazing women in many different areas. And I just want to shout out again, I mentioned them last week, some of our previous guests who have had some fantastic accomplishments over the last few weeks that we want to bring your attention to. First of all, we had Bryn Herrera, friend of mine up in DC area, a chef, a cook. She used to teach cooking classes to my daughter, and now she has her own cooking show on Clio TV. And then Cynthia Jacko Wise is a minister, but she's also a counselor, and she now has counseling available virtual and in person. If you're in her area, she does counseling for children, adolescents, adults, and married couples. So definitely want to support the good work that she's doing. And then, of course, our good friend Franca was in New York for Fashion Week featuring her beautiful gowns. And I just think that's so exciting. So congratulations to you guys who are doing big things. We're super proud of you. And of course, we want to make sure that we are supporting women and minority owned businesses. And that's what the Hey Girl High Five is all about. So be sure to check it out and support those businesses. And then, of course, if you own a small business, we need to get your name on that Hey Girl High Five list. So just send us the business that you would like us to add. Email us at heygirlfb@gmail.com. All right, I'm still waiting to hear, what do you do well? If it's one thing or multiple things, acknowledge it, own it, and then make sure you're doing it to the best of your ability. But share with us, what is one thing that you do well, that you enjoy doing, that God has gifted you to do? That is our challenge for the next month. Let's just make ourselves accountable to someone to do our work to the best of our ability. Can we do that? I think that's what we all should do. All right. Well, I don't want to waste any more time. I know that you are excited to meet our guests for today, and I'm excited to introduce them to you. As you know, of course, we are focusing on breaking barriers. I particularly was using that theme for this month because when you talk about women in STEM, I think there's often a stigma that has traditionally accompanied that field. It's intended to be, or has been assumed to be, a male dominated field, and only guys, only boys can do these hard sciences. And so we wanted to break those glass ceilings and break those barriers and those stereotypes about who can do what kind of work. And these two ladies that I'm introducing you today are two additional examples of what girls can do, girl power all day long. Danielle Lewis was born and raised in Pell City, Alabama, a small town just outside of Birmingham. And from a young age, she knew she was interested in math and science. So in 2010, she joined a dual degree engineering program with Oakwood University and the University of Alabama in Huntsville. And after graduating with her degree in mechanical engineering, she joined Cummins Incorporated. Danielle currently works in Cummins' newest technology segment, New Power Business Unit, to create, test, and deliver demo electric vehicles and software. Inside and outside of work, Danielle is passionate about empowering the next generation of STEM students and hosts the HBCU STEM Education Run to raise scholarship funds for students. In her spare time, she enjoys running, teaching Zumba, traveling, and playing with her miniature schnauzer, Apollo. You may even meet him before the day is over. Dr. Lisa James is a native of Brooklyn, New York, and earned her PhD in mathematics education from Auburn University in 2003. She has held faculty positions at Tuskegee University and Alabama State University, and currently is the chair of the Department of Mathematics and Computer Science at Oakwood University, where she continues to make a significant impact in the lives of young people. Under her leadership, Oakwood University has been ranked number 12 in Bachelor of Mathematics programs by Study.com, and as number 4 among small HBCUs producing students with mathematics degrees by the 107th. Please welcome, would you please, my guest, Dr. Lisa James and Miss Danielle Lewis. Hey guys.
Hello.
Hi. I'm so glad you're here. Now you two know each other. Talk about that.
Hey, Dr. James.
Hi, Danielle. Absolutely. I know Danielle. The first year that I taught at Oakwood University, Danielle was in that class. And so I always tell her, and I tell other people, that class is very, very special to me because that was my first class at Oakwood University.
Oh, awesome.
And I was a freshman. Yeah, that was my first year, first college math classes, calculus. So that definitely special. And Dr. James is a great professor there.
I was going to ask you. So, what memories do you have of her as a professor? Be honest.
Yeah, I just remember we would talk through. She would be nice answering my questions during class, right? So I like to try to do my best to pay as much attention in class, and so I would ask a lot of questions all the time. And she never lost her patience with me, and helped me understand whatever the topic was, whether it was derivatives or finding the volume of the graphs that we were, working on or anything like that. So definitely helped me in my school year, and even outside of that. Dr. James has been a great friend.
She's over there being like a mama. I know it makes you so proud to see your students doing well, right?
Absolutely, Kim. That's what makes it worth it.
Yeah.
Danielle was a good student, and like she said, she asked a lot of questions, and I love it when students ask questions because that's how you learn.
Yeah. That's right. If only students realized how much teachers appreciate their questions. I don't know that they recognize that it doesn't bother us. It actually helps us to know what's clicking and what isn't. So good stuff. So I'm so glad to have the two of you here together, because I think that you can each talk about different aspects of this STEM field. Of course, Lisa, you are in math, although you didn't start off with math. So you want to talk about how you came to decide math was going to be your area, and why? Why?
Well, I always liked math. Growing up, taking my mathematics classes, I was always good at math. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't until 9th grade that it hit me that I understood math more quickly than a lot of my friends. Mm-hmm. And for example, we were in algebra, and when you start putting variables instead of dealing with numbers, people get confused with that. But to me, it was making a lot of sense. And I couldn't understand why others weren't getting it. I said, this makes so much sense to me. So that was my first thought that,
might be something to it.
Exactly. But I didn't do anything with it. I went on through high school, continued to enjoy my math classes. And knowing that I was good at numbers, I decided I wanted to do accounting. That was a career that I knew, if I majored in accounting, I was going to be an accountant. I love the business look. I'm a conservative dresser, and I love wearing suits. I said, so that is it for me. And I started the program. And of course, in undergrad, you have to take general education courses. So I was taking pre-calculus, Gracie Monroe's pre-calculus, and I loved it. I said, I want more of this. So after I took that one class, I told her, I said, I want to take some more math classes. And that's the history. After that, eventually, I think I double majored for a little while. And the more accounting classes I took, the more I realized that, no, this is not what I want to do. Math is it. And that's how I became a math major. So I ended up majoring in math and computer science and minoring in accounting.
Oh, I have such a headache just hearing all of that together in one sentence. But anyway, so did you think then that you would go into teaching, or when you decided to major in math, what was your thought then? Because obviously you decided to shift away from accounting. So what was your thought at that point?
I had no clue what I wanted to do. All I knew was, up until I graduated, Kim, was that I liked mathematics. I was good at it, and I wanted to do more of it.
Wow.
So when I graduated, of course, I didn't know what I wanted to do. And a lot of students, they call it a gap year now.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't, that sounds cool now, but back then, to me, it was like, Lisa, you're a failure. You don't know what you want to do with life. And so it took me a little while. It took me about a year to try to figure out what I wanted to do. A few people mentioned to me, well, you did math, so what about actuarial science? I said, okay. So I'll look into actuarial science. There's a series of exams that you have to take for that. Somebody hooked me up with an interview. I went on the interview and I took the first exam. I didn't study for it, but I did take the first exam. Of course, because I didn't study, I didn't get a very high grade on the exam. But I didn't know anything about the career. I didn't have anybody who I knew was doing it. And so I couldn't be successful on the interviews and so forth. So what I decided to do after, talking to Dr. Blake was the chair of the math department at the time at Oakwood. And he said, well, if you're not sure what you want to do, go back to school. And that's when I started to apply to graduate school and so forth. And it was in graduate school that I decided, you know what, Lisa, you should be a college professor. And that's what I wanted to do.
Okay, so staying in school was what helped you to figure out your path. Maybe a little time outside of school, but going back to school. I've heard it said that school is a great place to figure out what you need to do or what you want to do with your future, rather than just. But then I've also heard some who say, getting work experience in different areas can be a way to do that as well. But I think it's really good to hear you, Dr. James, chair of the math department, talk about not knowing what you want to do when you graduated. So
Absolutely.
It's not necessarily clear from the start or from the moment you graduate. So I want to ask Danielle, when did you know that engineering was the field for you? What was your path?
Yeah, so when I first left high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do either, or major in. At the time, there's something called college days that they have at Oakwood, and I remember being in like the biology department, thinking that I was going to major in biology, and okay, yeah, that'll be cool. And I remember I raised my hand and asked some question that showed that I did not know the career progression through biology, right? So I kind of took a step back and said, what do I like to do? Like Dr. James, I liked math when I was in school. That was always my favorite subject, something that came easily to me. My mom was also an engineer. She was an electrical engineer. And so I asked her about it and, got her opinion on it as well, crying through it because I was like, Mom, I don't know what to do. What do I do? The concern and the fear of that not knowing the path ahead. Right. And so, but when I started at Oakwood, I knew that there was this 3-year, it's called a 3-2 program where I studied math, applied math and mechanical engineering. And as we were going through it, so we start off with our core math courses, right? So that part was good for me, like understanding the thing that I was familiar with already. And then the engineering part, allowing that to come after. By that time that we got to the core engineering classes, right? I had, talked to people that were other people that were engineers. I had, found out what the National Society of Black Engineers was. I had worked with other schools and their National Society of Black Engineers chapter. So I think when those pieces started like falling into place, getting scholarships for being an engineer, and all of those things really just helped me feel like I was in the right place. I was in the right field, right? And one other thing, I don't know if I shared this story before, but Dr. Roper was one of my mentors when I was at school, and I was talking to him about it, and he mentioned to me, it's like, hey, you're one, you're a Black woman, and two, you're in this male dominated, field. People are going to give you money, like scholarship money. And so that was another, like I said, aha moment that this thing is working out for me. And I'm just very, very grateful for the career path that I chose to take.
Wow, that's a good story. That sounds just like my husband. Every girl that he comes across who's any way interested in math or science, he says that same thing. He's like, oh, you have so many ways that you can get into that field because they need people like you. So that's awesome that he was able to motivate you to pursue it. Good stuff. Good stuff. So curious to know from both of you, if once you figured out what you wanted to do, did you ever get to a point where you second guessed that choice? Like, did you ever have a moment where you were like, oh, shoot, now that I'm in the thick of this, whatever this is, oh man, is this really what I signed up for? Anybody ever have one of those moments along the way?
Well, I know for me, in graduate school at the University of Alabama, Birmingham, that was a tough adjustment for me to make. So just to give you a little bit of background of how to find what a dissertation in mathematics would be like. So I was working on a master's and was to continue on with my PhD, hopefully in mathematics. But to get a dissertation in mathematics, you have to prove a theorem that no one else has proved before. And in graduate school, all of the mathematics courses that you're taking you're doing mathematical proofs, okay? Well, coming from Oakwood University, where I had excellent teachers and they taught me very well, the writing proofs experience wasn't as extensive as it was, or, I didn't have a whole lot of writing proof experience. So that was really, really a stretch for me. And and I asked myself, Lisa, do you really, really want to do this? Do you want to do this? I remember I was at a point where I was getting my master's degree, or finished, I would be able to stop and get my master's degree. And I was praying to God. It was around midnight. I was about to go to bed. I was praying and the phone rang. I was praying to God, asking him whether or not I should continue with the PhD program, or should I kind of stop, get my master's, and then, take a break. Kim, you wouldn't believe it. I got a phone call from Herman Windham, Dr. Herman Windham, the chair of the math department at Tuskegee University, while I was on my knees. And he asked me if I would be interested in teaching at Tuskegee University.
How did he know you?
He said that he talked to my advisor and was looking for somebody. Of course, Tuskegee University is HBCU, and they were looking for an African American to come and teach mathematics there. He had an opening, and he was at work late that evening. He found out that I was maybe finishing with my master's and wanted to know if I wanted to come and teach there. I said, "Are you serious?" I thought it was a joke because, who calls at midnight or, or late at night? And it was serious. And I went we arranged to have the interview. My cousin Sandra and I drove to Tuskegee and had the interview, and that was my first teaching experience at Tuskegee University.
And an answer to your prayer as to what you should do.
An answer to my prayer. And that's my
Yeah.
life story, Kim. God
Mm-hmm.
has a way of, when I'm at a point where I'm trying to make a decision, he just always kind of makes it clear for you
Mm.
and directs your paths.
Good stuff. That's a great story. What about you, Danielle? Did you have a straight shot? Never any doubt?
No, I wouldn't say that. Maybe a couple times. So when we in the 3-2 program, after I did 3 years at Oakwood, and then it was time to transfer over to UAH, University of Alabama in Huntsville. So it was just maybe that was a time where things were new again, right? I was the new student at a new school, new professors that you have to build this rapport with, new concepts, classes I've never, this is a core engineering classes now, right? And so just that shock of all those things at once was a little intimidating, to be honest. But a couple things that helped me during that time was the fact that when I transferred over, it was me and several friends. We ended up going all, around the same time. So that really helped out to be able to talk through our struggles together, find a common, find a buddy throughout that time. And, that was helpful as well. And then maybe the other thing that I constantly kind of have to deal with is being one of the few women in engineering, at my the company I work for. I'll say Black women engineer at the company that I work for. There'll be times where it might be also the kind of group that I'm in, but there will be times when I'm the only woman in the room or the only African American person in the room. So, I don't notice it usually, but, sometimes I look around and it hits me a little bit. And so just to deal with that and not to take it as a what's the word discouraging, and not to be as a discouragement, but as some push or some motivation to say, hey, represent, do well, you're here, you belong, and keep going. So those will be my couple moments and my way to kind of switch it around and keep going.
I hear you. So I'm curious to know, you said that sometimes you don't remember that you're the only woman in the room or the only Black person in the room, but is there ever a time when that comes to the fore maybe in a negative way, where you are reminded that you are different, maybe second guessed or overlooked or ignored or somehow,
Yeah.
have you experienced, talk about that.
I feel like one time I felt like I had to ask, just to validate, like, did I see that wrong or whatever. So sometimes it'll be where if we have a big team meeting where everybody has their voices, has their opinions, and the feeling of not getting your voice heard is something that's like a big demotivator to me. And so I felt that before, to say, okay, hey, let's try this, and crickets, and then 2 seconds later, hey, let's try that same thing, and it seems like it's heard. And so in an instance like that, I talked to the other woman that was in the group with me. I said, hey, was I imagining things? Like, did you see that too, or whatever? So she said, hey, you have good points and all that stuff. So, just make sure that they hear you. Don't let people silence you or anything like that. So, you bring good input. So, I hear it when you give good input. So I wasn't that encouraged me for hearing that from her.
I love that. What has helped you, one of the things that has helped you is others, is friendship, sisterhood, brotherhood, relationship, community, which of course, as you know, Hey Girl is all about community. And I love to bring that point out that, those of you who have achieved and done well have not done it alone. And none of us who want to do anything well will do it alone. You got to have someone who can validate you and affirm you and say, keep going. And so I think that's an important message as well. So if you would explain, share with us a little bit, describe what kind of work you do. In your bio, it talks about working with electric cars or electric vehicles or something. So tell us a little bit about what exactly you do in your current job.
Okay, yeah, sure. So I work as a systems engineer, product specialist. And so what that means is we have different demo electric vehicles that we'll bring in, and we will take out the diesel part, or the older technology that was in there, and then upfit it and make it an electric vehicle, so battery powered, with an electric motor. I'm responsible for the integration of the new devices that we would have for this new vehicle, right? And so, for example, the electric motor communicates in this protocol called CAN messages. And so we have another controller where they have to talk back and forth to each other. And the controller says, hey, spin this fast, or hey, we need you to stop spinning. So for them to be able to communicate, for the wiring to be correct, all of that stuff, I'm responsible or work with a team in electric hardware integration, or the design team, to make sure that at the end of the day, everything's working smoothly, everything is working as expected, and that it's safe. And after we do that, we call that commissioning to say that, hey, all these things, checked off the list, everything works. And then we go out and test it. So the one project that I was working on, I think I saw you had a picture of it, is an electric mini excavator. And so to take it and, dig in the backyard or dig outside a big dirt pile, and, see that the performance is matching what we expect it to match, look at the data and analyze it and say, hey, we're good over here, or hey, we're not good here, and let's go and address those things. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. It keeps me busy for sure.
I bet. Good stuff. So I want to go to the comments and acknowledge some comments that are being made by those of you who are watching. Karen Lynch Frater says, none of us who have done well have done it alone. So true. Alva says, God always makes a way. Karen says, look at God always coming through with clarity, talking about you, Lisa, the story that you shared. And I saw some other comments. Let me see if I can go back to them. But these stories that you all are sharing are so encouraging, I think, for all of us to know that regardless of what we are trying to accomplish, that we can do it if we stick to it. And God does put people in our lives that helps us do it. So Lisa, we know that you're the chair of a math department, but talk a little bit about what that involves, and what is the best part you think about the work that you do?
The best part is sitting here listening to Danielle talking about what she does. The best part is watching the students. They come as freshmen, and they are so young, and I want to say innocent, and and they think they know, but they don't know. And it's just amazing to just watch them over a 4-year period just grow and become these men and women and do so many wonderful things. And that is the most rewarding thing. Coming back to Oakwood University is big. I've taught at other HBCUs. I've taught at Tuskegee, which I had a wonderful experience there. I've taught at Alabama State University. I've had a wonderful experience there. But there's nothing like coming back home, coming back to Oakwood University, where just like me, I'm able to see these young men and women, women
Yeah.
just like me who like mathematics. They have a talent in mathematics, but they just don't know what it is that they want to do with mathematics.
Yeah.
Also, knowing the bridge that I had to cross to do mathematical proofs, I'm able now to incorporate into the curriculum a course that bridges students from the mechanical type of mathematics to
Mm.
doing mathematical proofs for those who are interested in going to graduate school, so that when they get to graduate school, they will have an easier time or transition than what I had. So being able to go back and make a difference in the lives of these young people who were just like me just a few years ago, um, when I was there
Yes.
just a few years ago,
Right.
it's wonderful.
Yeah, I'm sure. And I know both of you actually have your own burden for helping others to succeed in this field. Lisa, I want to ask you first, and then I want to come to Danielle. What about the kids that you encounter who maybe are second guessing that this is the field for them? My question to you is actually, because some of us know they don't need to do math or science. Okay, some of us just know, but some might think they want to and then decide at some point, no, 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 it's too hard. I'm not going to try anymore. Are you able to distinguish those two groups of students, like the ones who, yeah, math is probably not their thing, versus those who probably could do well, but maybe are second guessing themselves and maybe ready to give up on math? And then what do you do? What do you say to those students?
It's yes, I do see students who I know have the potential, and it breaks my heart when they do not pursue that potential.
Yeah.
And it's because mathematics is hard. We can say, oh no, it's not hard, and make people feel good and so forth, but at some point mathematics is going to be hard for anybody if you take it long enough. And one of the things that I try to convey to my students is it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to fail, or not get the answer right sometimes. That's
Mm.
how you learn.
Mm-hmm.
I don't always get the answer right, but because I continually work on it, as a matter of fact, that's what makes it challenging to me. The fact
Mm-hmm.
that if I don't get the answer right, I have to figure out a way to get it right, and I have to get the solution. And I try to get my students to think that way.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, it's very, very hard because students want quick answers. They want to
Yeah.
do things quickly, and they don't have the patience to, you know, they want
Yeah.
things to come easy, pretty much.
Right.
And so sometimes, the students, they just say, oh, no, I don't want to do it. Math is too hard, or, I have to do too much work. And it disappoints me. But when all is said and done, they have to be the ones to live with it, and to determine what path they take in life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm sure you try very hard to persuade them otherwise. But I think that the message that in what you just said is that math is hard. But I would also say other subjects are hard too. Other fields are hard too. There's really no easy way to go through life, right? Things are going to be hard. And I think that if we can help students especially to understand that just because you're going to drop this class because it's hard doesn't mean that you won't go into another class that isn't hard as well in some other way. And so if you're running from the hard stuff, you're going to be running for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So at
Absolutely.
some point you're going to need to do the hard thing, and so it might as well be now rather than later, particularly if you have the potential to do well in this subject area. What about
That's a
you,
great point.
Danielle?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. About me, I wanted to say just one quick thing too about the math department. I think Dr. James is just doing a really great job at the math department, being in the chair. So I visited earlier in the summer, and just to see the things, how it was from when I was in school to how it is now. I just wanted to, shout that out. I think everything is doing good, and some grants and stuff. So all of that, I think, it's been great, really great. So to answer your question about, what if someone was, I guess, not motivated or feeling like they don't know if engineering is the path that they want to pursue. That the question?
Yes, I'm sure that you have probably had to, because I know that you are very passionate about helping others to get into this field. So you probably have encountered individuals who are like, nah, I can't do that. I can't do that. So like, how do you motivate them to say, you can do it. It is hard, but it's still possible.
Yeah, I was talking to a girl the other day, actually, and I just tried to show her and tell her about the different possibilities that are out there, the different resources that are out there that could help it be easier. How there's tutoring that's available, how there's support, like support groups that are out there, like peer groups and things like that, to get a buddy to help along the way. Those are things that were helpful for me when I was in school, right? And so I think also having that light at the end of the tunnel, so to say, hey, I'm gonna bust my butt for this. It's not gonna be easy, but at the end of the day, I'm gonna get that degree, I'm gonna land that job, and I'm gonna continue to go from there. So the other thing is that throughout the challenges, there's the aha moments. There's the sweet taste of, I did that thing, right? So, to say, hey, I studied all night, 5 hours of my life, but at the end I passed that test, so there's going to be points throughout the journey that are going to make it worth it. Those would be the things that I would say, hold on to those things. When you're going through a difficult time or second guessing yourself, and then the last thing I would say, have someone that's in your corner to help encourage you, right? So we were talking about that earlier, someone that helps encourage you, or someone that can hold you accountable, even. So those things I would point out to them.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. We have some comments coming in. I see Tanya said, I failed my first core class in chemical engineering at Georgia Tech. Today, I tell students to give themselves grace to face challenges on their path. I retook that class and made an A the next semester. Glory to God. And I bet you we could all identify something that we didn't do well, whether it was a class or a test or something, comp exam that we totally bombed. But what I have found in the areas of my life where I've fallen and failed, I have learned more from those areas of my life where I've been successful. So it's often from those hard things that I had to get over or do over that I actually learned the most. So I think that's also a message for people who may be discouraged or saying, oh, it's too hard, I can't do it. Keep doing it, because you'll learn, you'll grow from it. Like you said, Danielle, at the end, the reward will be sweeter because of how hard it was. Yeah. So good stuff. Who else is in the comments? Hey guys, I see Michael Haywood, Sandra is still there. Hey Chandra, good to see you also. Some of the comments I'm missing, that I don't know why. Facebook is so special. I'm seeing only the last few comments, so I apologize for others that I might have missed. I saw Ruth Butler, so hello to you as well. So I want you to, in the final few minutes that we have, to talk about some of the efforts in particular that you've been involved with in order to encourage, I was going to say women in STEM, but not just women. I know you're also encouraging people in general to get into this area of math and science. So talk about some of those initiatives and activities that you're involved in. Oh, I should say, okay, I'm going to let Danielle go first. I'll let Danielle go first.
Okay, sure. So a couple things I've been working on or a part of. One, I want to mention something called the Cummins-Nesby Integrated Pipeline Program. I'm the coordinator for that, and that's a scholarship, mentorship, and internship program for sophomore engineering students at North Carolina A&T, Howard University, and Purdue University. And I think that it's a really great opportunity for students, especially because these are sophomore students, where people can intern after their sophomore year. Because that's what people want. They want experience, right? So they say, hey, you need experience. Like, okay, I need the job to get experience. So I think that's something that's really, I'm proud to be a part of. The fact that outside of my day job, outside of my engineering job, right, I get to serve as this coordinator and help to also, in a sense, mentor some of these students that we have. So that's something that I'm very excited to be a part of. Also, there's the HBCU STEM education run that we talked about, that you mentioned in the bio. So that's something that I started earlier this year, and the mission is to empower, elevate, and educate HBCU students studying science, technology, engineering, and math through scholarships and career resources. So it's a 5K or a walk or, some fitness event. That's another part of it, right? To be able to get people out there moving, to raise awareness around STEM, particularly STEM at HBCUs like Oakwood University. And we did one in May that the scholarship money was gifted to Oakwood University Math and Computer Science Department. Nice. And this coming up in October, we have a women in STEM walkathon. So special, hats off to the women in STEM, where for the full month of October, you can rack up as many miles as possible, and we're going to be donating the funds from, registration fees, from donations, things like that, to women in STEM. And this time it's going to be at Spelman College. So one of my team members that helps me, she's a Spelman alum, and they also have a similar dual degree program, a similar 3-2 program. So they're familiar with the 5 years of school as well. So those are just a few of the things that that I'm a part of. Definitely, if you're interested, you can go check out the website and register or donate, because it's for a great cause to help further the women, promote women in STEM, and also help them paying for school. So those are really good causes, in my opinion.
Good stuff. I'm so impressed with what you are doing, Danielle. I mean, you're young in your career and just kind of starting out. A lot of times the focus is on oneself and getting through and being successful. So I really admire that you are even thinking about others, even as you're working on your own career and providing opportunities for them to be successful as well. And I know, I didn't even have to look at the comments. I know Tanya is clapping somewhere because she is my Spelman girl. She's woohoo! Yeah, I knew it. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Chandra is saying, meanwhile, Danielle, the artist in me, is loving your art. Is it your work? Oh, I love when STEM girls also work their artsy on the side. Yeah, we talked about that before the show. You like art, although you don't create it yourself.
Yeah, these ones aren't mine. I did make some, not on this level, but on this hallway past this way. I have a few that I made, but yeah, these are all different Black artists. I like Black art to support different artists.
Yeah, I mean, you can appreciate arts and sciences, right? You don't have to only be all about one side. That's so cool. Yeah, we love the art. So Lisa, what about you? What are you working on for the next generation of STEM majors?
I have a little testimony that I'd like to give as I share that. Back in 2019, I wrote my first grant along with my colleagues in my department. An opportunity came up with the U.S. Department of Education Minority Science and Improvement Minority Science and Engineering Improvement Program. They had a competition going, and our grant specialist called me and asked me if I'd be interested in doing it. Long story short, I got my group together. We had nothing planned, and they give you a few weeks in order for you to pull everything together and submit it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the most stressful periods of my life. And I wanted to quit several times. But for some reason, God kept telling me to keep going, keep going. So we submitted the grant, and I was very upset when we submitted it because I knew it wasn't up to my level of expectation. As a perfectionist, I'd rather not submit something than to submit it below what I'm expecting it to look like.
Mm-hmm.
But we submitted it, and lo and behold, it was rejected.
Mm.
And so I was a little annoyed with God because I was like, well, why would you have me go? I heard you clearly telling me to go on and write this. Why in the world would this happen? But eventually I just realized, well, the reviewers' scores were kind of high. Perhaps it's just a matter of you tweaking it and then resubmitting when they open it up in 2020, when they open up the competition. So that was what I planned to do. COVID-19 hit.
Mm.
They didn't open up the competition again. Instead, what they did was they went back and they awarded those who were not awarded the previous year.
Mm.
And I didn't even have to resubmit the grant.
Wow.
The grant was awarded.
Nice.
So with that, what are we doing? Well, one of the goals of the grant is, like I said, the Minority Science and Engineering Improvement Program grant, and we call it Creating Opportunities for Success in STEM, and the acronym is CROSS. So with that, one of the goals is to increase the representation of women in STEM. And we have a Win for STEM symposium. WIN is an acronym for Women's Initiative for STEM. And that symposium was held in March. As a matter of fact, Danielle was a part of that. It's for high school students, high school female students, as well as Oakwood University college students who are interested in STEM. And we had a panel discussion with people, women who are working in STEM. We had a keynote speaker, Dr. Nehemiah Mabry. He gave us a talk about The Difference Is You was the title. And it was just they gave out prizes and just letting our students know that there are careers out there that you can pursue. Also, with our Win for STEM initiative, we have a summer bridge program, and this is for incoming freshmen at Oakwood University who are interested in STEM. Now, our focus really is on trying to improve the numbers in computer science and engineering because those have the lowest representation as far as in women in those areas. So the Summer Bridge program, we have activities in computer science. We had them doing computer programming. Danielle was a part of that as well. She had them doing a project where they built an electric vehicle.
Right, I remember heard about that.
Yeah, and of course they had a math review because mathematics is really the main thing that kind of makes the gender gap. So with all of these activities, the students our first year of doing it was last year, and the students, they have bonded so much, Kim. We're so pleased with how that's working out. The students were partnered with peer mentors. And so this is something that we've started. We're going to do it again next year. Thank God we got a continuation for the grant for year 2. And so we're planning for our next Win for STEM symposium in March. If you're interested, please share this information with your high school students. The email address is winforstem@gmail.com. No, that is not true. It's winforstem@oakwood.edu. I'll say it again, winforstem@oakwood.edu. And email us, and we will be able to send you some information on that.
Good stuff, Lisa. That's a great testimony, and it's a great program. I'm so excited that your former students like Danielle are involved as well. So it's that giving back, reaching back, and helping one another, and creating a community even as you're doing so, right? So these students that are participating are being brought together with others who are like them, so they can walk that journey together, which is, I think, so important.
Can I say one more thing? Our keynote speaker for our next symposium is Ashley Leblanc.
Ashley,
She
of course.
She was on a couple of weeks ago on Hey Girl. She's a chemist in one of our government agencies, and so we're just excited that she is going to be there.
Awesome. Yeah, she's great. Very, very motivating, very personable. So she's a great person to connect with young people and get them excited about doing this kind of work. So that's excellent. I am so thankful for both of you, and I'm so proud of the work that you're doing. I encourage you to keep doing what you're doing, keep letting God use you, because I know that you're having a positive impact on so many lives, probably more so than you even realize. And Danielle, you may be on a show sometime 20, 30 years from now and talking with someone who you influenced in some way, who is doing something great. In the way that Lisa's seeing you develop in your career, you probably will have that opportunity at some point to see others who have been influenced by you. So it's all about that connection and helping one another. So thank you both for being here. Thank you for your stories and your inspiration. And our scripture today actually is about what you both are about. And it comes from Luke chapter 6 and verse 38. It says, "Give generously, and generous gifts will be given back to you, shaken down to make room for more. Abundant gifts will pour out upon you with such an overflowing measure that it will run over the top." I love the Passion Translation because it's so makes it so clear, right? And what our guests today represent, what they are examples of, is this giving, this generosity that they each have. They have learned lessons along the way. They have had successes, and yet they are not content with enjoying what they have accomplished alone. They have generously given of their time and their effort and their energy so that others can be successful as well. And I think that is also a message for us. I feel like we've had so many messages during this last hour that we can all take away. And that is certainly one of them, to be sure to give back whatever it is that you have been given. And I thank all of you who have been in the comments chiming in and giving encouragement and congratulations. Alva is saying she's proud of her sister, of course. And I hope that each of you, as I said at the beginning, thinks about the things that you are good at and make sure that you are doing it well and to the best of your ability. And also look around to see if there's someone that you might be able to encourage along the way, maybe who reminds you of yourself when you were at that point in your life. And maybe there's something you can say or do for them that will help them to get over the hump. That's what it's all about. And I just thank you again for being here. This has been such a great month. You know, like I said, I'm not a STEM person by any stretch, but I have thoroughly enjoyed these conversations, and I've learned so much from the beautiful people who have come on to share their experiences with us. And now it's time to move on. Next week, we will start a brand new theme. And this one is a theme that I can get into personally. We are switching from STEM to creativity. Next month, all of our guests are from creative fields. They're using the other side of their brain and talking about the successes and failures and challenges that they also have faced. Because like I said, you don't have to do math to have hard things. Life is hard, whatever you choose to do. And so we're going to learn about some of the exciting things that our guests are involved with and the challenges that they've had to overcome. And maybe some of you can identify with some of their experiences. If you're not a math or science person, but you've had some difficulties in other areas, other career paths, we're gonna explore what the different possibilities are and see what other lessons we can all learn. So I hope you'll join us next month. Next week starts the brand new month. I look forward to you being here to hear some of the things that I have to share. Actually, next week in particular, I think I might be flying solo, so that'll be interesting. Be sure to tune in. I look forward to seeing you. God bless. Bye-bye.
Hey girl, it's a new month and time for a new theme. STEM is great, but not everybody works math problems for a living. Some of us write, sing, paint, or act, and this month we're making a case for creative work. These are my favorites. Join me Saturdays at 5 on Facebook Live.